You've cut out the gluten, you're being so careful, but your stomach still feels bloated. You start wondering, am I doing something wrong? But you're not. Bloating is one of the most common issues people with celiac disease face even after they go gluten-free. So today we're going to go over the 5 most common reasons this happens and how you can fix them. Hi, I'm Ella, founder and head coach at the Coeliac Wellness Club, and this channel is all about educating you on how you can live your happiest and healthiest life with celiac disease. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss another video. So just a quick disclaimer before we get into things, I am not a registered dietitian, nutritionist, or medical professional, and the advice in this video is general for educational purposes. And if you're having any issues with bloating or any ongoing celiac symptoms for that matter, you should always speak to your GP. This video is based on all the information I've gathered through research, speaking to dietitians and doctors, working with hundreds of celiacs, and my own experiences too. And it's also important that we realize that the most common reason celiacs still get bloated after going gluten-free is because they are being cross-contaminated. Gluten is sneaking into their diet. So the reasons I'm going to go over in this video do not cover cross-contamination, but that is the first place you need to start. You need to look at your kitchen setup. You need to look at how often you're eating out, whether you're eating at safe places. But if you're really strictly following your gluten-free diet and you're still struggling with bloating, we're going to walk through some of the most common celiac disease specific reasons this could be happening. But please remember that other gastro conditions can contribute to bloating as well. A lot of celiacs struggle with IBS or Crohn's colitis, so it's always worth looking into those and making sure that you're getting checked by a doctor. So, think you're doing everything right, but still feeling bloated? I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but you might be reacting to other foods now alongside gluten. When we get diagnosed, they don't often explain to us what's actually happening within our body as celiacs. So, when we eat gluten, it triggers an immune response which causes our body to attack its own cells in the small intestine. And these cells that get attacked are called villi. They're finger-like projections that line our small intestine, and basically they increase the surface area of our gut so we can absorb more nutrients from our food. But when that immune response is happening in the intestine, when the body's trying to attack the gluten, it ends up attacking itself, and long story short, these villi get flattened and inflamed and they can't absorb nutrients anymore, which is what causes the vitamin and iron deficiencies and that stomach pain as well. However, unfortunately, these villi are also where our body stores something called the lactase enzyme, which is this little green dot at the top here. And this lactase enzyme is what our body uses to digest lactose. So when we're still eating gluten, when that immune response is happening, yes, the villi get inflamed and flattened, but it also gets rid of the lactase enzyme, which is why up to 75% of celiacs are lactose intolerant after their diagnosis. And this can cause bloating, along with other gastrointestinal issues, and also things like brain fog and fatigue are reported as well. But the good news is this is often only temporary, so as we're gluten-free, as our villi heal again, we can then produce that lactase enzyme again and start digesting lactose. Unfortunately, it doesn't stop there either. Up to 10% of celiacs can't have oats, even the gluten-free ones, because they contain a protein called adenine, which is so similar to gluten that the body basically mistakes it for the same thing, and the same immune response happens and the same bloating happens. And also, when your body's repairing the gut as well, post-diagnosis, it's common to be sensitive to high fructose foods like apples and honey, for example, which can also trigger bloating. I personally really badly struggled with lactose intolerance after my diagnosis, but I switched to lactose-free milk, lactose-free cheese, lactose-free yogurt, and then I started to feel okay. Unfortunately, my lactose intolerance hasn't really resolved itself. I still need to eat mostly lactose-free products, but this is really, really common in just the adult population as well, outside of celiac disease too. So I'd really recommend that if you're struggling with gastro symptoms, look into lactose, look into oats, look into fructose, and just see if any of these are a trigger for you. So yes, other food intolerances and sensitivities can contribute to bloating, but did you know that your gut bacteria might still be out of balance even years after your celiac diagnosis? Gut healing and gut repair takes time, and every celiac's journey is different. Things like the age you get diagnosed, how much gut damage you've suffered, and how well you adhere to your gluten-free diet post-diagnosis all contribute to how long it takes for that gut microbiome to get back up to normal. And unfortunately, research has shown that in some individuals with celiac disease, this can take years. And this is a huge reason that people can still experience things like bloating, gas, stomach cramping, even after going gluten-free. Something that I never really clocked onto after my diagnosis was how much fibre we lose by cutting out whole grains. And accidentally undereating on fibre can really stunt that gut healing process. So it's really important we think about how we can bring in more gluten-free, celiac-safe, high-fibre foods to replace this. My personal favourite is chia seeds and blueberries. So every single morning, without fail, I have protein porridge with gluten-free oats, of course, and I put chia seeds in there, and I put lots of frozen blueberries in there as well, and this really helps me start my day off with a big boost of fibre. I also recommend to all of my clients that they snack on fruit throughout the day and make sure that they're getting at least 100 grams of veggies in with their lunches and their dinners. On average, we should aim to get in around 25 grams of fibre a day, but if you're eating a really low number, make sure to increase it gradually over time, because unfortunately, when we dramatically increase our fibre intake, our body's not used to digesting it, and this can lead to even more bloating. Healing our gut is a marathon, not a sprint. But outside of specific food groups, there's one reason for ongoing celiac bloating that I genuinely hear nobody speaking about: the fact that you might be undereating. Fortunately, I'd never experienced stress or fear around food until I got my celiac diagnosis. It is absolutely exhausting having to all of a sudden follow a really strict medical diet, be anxious about making mistakes, anxious about cross-contamination, not knowing how to read labels, not knowing what we can and can't have, what's good for us, what's bad for us. And this causes such extreme decision fatigue and stress. And this can massively translate into changes in our actual eating behavior and meal timings. When we've got all of this stuff to think about, we can push off meals, or we can go to work and forget our lunch, have nothing available, then have to wait till dinner, or we can end up just sticking to snacks and grazing throughout the day because it's easier and the snacks are labeled as gluten-free and safe and we don't have to worry about cooking and everything like that. But skipping meals or just having small snacks throughout the day can actually really mess with our blood sugar stability, and it can also spike our cortisol as well, which is our stress hormone. And this can really slow digestion down and inevitably make bloating worse. So if you're somebody who puts off eating breakfast, puts off buying a lunch because you can't find celiac safe options, and then gets home and puts together a really quick dinner, and you're finding that you're getting really bloated after dinner, it may be because you're undereating. I know it can be stressful when you're adjusting to this new diet, but we need to aim to get in 3 balanced meals a day because our gut loves routine. So if you're really struggling with stress or fear around food since your diagnosis, I'd recommend using the 5-5-5 technique. Put a pen to paper or get your notes app out on your phone and write down 5 breakfasts, lunches, and dinners that you know you can rely on. Your favorites that you know are gluten-free. This way, whenever you're getting stressed or overwhelmed, you can just go back to your list and completely reduce that overwhelm. I'd also really recommend buying a few emergency freezer meals as well, so that if you're ever having a little bit of a panic or you've had a difficult day, you can just stick one of those in the microwave to make sure that you're giving your gut and you're giving your body that balanced meal that it needs. But if you're struggling with bloating and other ongoing symptoms, it's really important that we try and get this stress managed and under control, because your gut can't heal if your body thinks you're in danger. Even if your diet's perfectly gluten-free and perfectly balanced, you're eating your carbs, your protein, your fats, your fiber, stress can still physically slow down your digestion. And as well as the food fear, celiacs can often face a lot of anxiety around cross-contamination or social events. And it is absolutely exhausting. I remember after my diagnosis, I was saying no to so many things because I just wasn't confident with advocating myself, speaking up to the waiter at a restaurant, asking the right questions, making sure I was safe. And you may have found this leading up to things like job interviews or exams at school. I used to get it in A-levels when I was a sixth form student a lot. When your body's in fight or flight, when you're super stressed, adrenaline's high, you can feel it in your gut. Your digestion literally pauses, the bloating gets so much worse because our gut and our brain are connected. So when I was trying to boost my confidence and reduce anxiety after my diagnosis, something I found really useful was having a notes page in my phone with all the questions that I would need to ask the waiter to make sure I was safe. So things like, are the utensils used for gluten-free food separate to the ones you use for gluten-containing food? Is the gluten-free pasta cooked in its own dedicated water? And it seems silly, but when you're panicky, when you're anxious, you just want to have a list there so you don't have to think, you don't have to remember. So I'd really, really recommend that. And if you've been struggling with your confidence like I was, I'd really recommend that you join the Coeliac Wellness community that I run. It's a free group. You'll find the link in the description. It's for celiac women who are wanting to reclaim control of their health, improve their habits, nutrition, fitness, body confidence as well. It's packed with free resources around everything to do with living your healthier celiac life, from tackling ongoing symptoms to improving your fitness levels, daily habits, and advocating for yourself. So make sure to get involved and connect with some amazing celiac women in there. So the next thing that nobody manages to tell us after our celiac diagnosis is that some gluten-free swaps may be keeping you bloated. The free from aisle with gluten-free biscuits, pasta, bread, cakes, cereal bars is brilliant for convenience, but many of these products are higher in fat, sugar, and salt, which can be heavier on your gut. But let me make this clear, you do not have to cut them out completely. You are already following a medically restrictive diet. You can keep every food you like in your diet in moderation. However, I would really, really recommend that you try your best to bring in whole foods as well as the processed foods. So instead of just opting for pasta and gluten-free bread, we're going to bring in potatoes and rice and meat and vegetables to make sure that we're giving our body food that is easier to digest to help reduce that bloating. This will also help with your energy levels as well, because our body finds it easier to absorb nutrients from whole foods. So we've gone over some celiac specific reasons that we can still experience bloating even after switching to a gluten-free diet. But I wanted to throw in a few reasons that are not just for celiacs, that are for everybody, because we are absolutely guilty of these at times. Chewing gum all the time can really make us feel bloated because we're swallowing more air. Eating too quickly can lead to bloating as well. So when you sit down with a meal, try and chew your food slowly. Enjoy your meal. Don't try and kind of wolf it down as quickly as you possibly can on your lunch break. Really, really slow it down. And also lying down after eating and not moving around can really contribute to slower digestion, more bloating. So after you have your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, where possible, I'd really recommend at least standing up for a few minutes, but ideally going on a short walk as well. This makes a huge difference. So if you're somebody like me who likes to eat later in the evening, just try and pace around your house a little bit. It makes the world of difference if you're struggling with that late night bloating. So long story short, healing your gut after your celiac diagnosis requires more than just a gluten-free diet. It's about rebuilding trust with your body. Feed it consistently, manage your stress levels, and give it time. Your gut will catch up. You just have to let it heal. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss another video. And check out this video next if you're looking to lose body fat, tone up, as well as reduce your bloating with celiac disease.